What is going on, everybody? Welcome in episode 14 of the Model Mindset. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, Happy New Year to everybody. 2023 coming at you. And we thought there'd be really no better subject to talk about than some structure in our lives, with everyone having their resolutions and, having some new goals about their lives and about their health and their mentals and all that. We thought it would be a great conversation to have on how BG and I kind of keep that stuff in check in our day to day. So thanks for joining us. What's going down, BG? How we doing, man? Big Packers win today. Big Giants win today. We are feeling good tonight.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to talk sports real quick, that was just an ass kicking that the Packers gave the Vikings.
That was.
And then the Giants gave the Colts. And also an ass kicking as well. So congrats.
That's a little dog walking on a Sunday. I like it.
Yeah. Now the Packers control their destiny. They beat the Lions. They're in the playoffs.
There you go.
Giants. You guys are already pretty much in, right?
Yeah. So that's good today. Yeah. So it's good, man. It's a good start to the new year for us. Yeah.
That's right. So now getting back to our discussion, man, about structure. I'm excited to talk about this subject because as we have New Year's, what typically happens with New Year's resolutions is when you start to think about making a change, say in November, December, you're like, hey, the New Year's right around the corner. Why don't I wait to make that change? Whether it be health related, whether it be maybe a career change, what have you.
Yeah.
And so why we want to talk about this is because you don't have to wait till the new year. You don't have to wait. Start taking action now. Because once you start taking little actions or little steps to either progress your life, you're going to start getting those wins. And so that's kind of, and again, this isn't to put down any 2023 New Year resolutions.
Right.
It's to say, hey, don't wait for a new year. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't let that time elapse.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hard because, we talk about it a lot, like the day-to-day, the grind, the slog people get in where, your days kind of just pass and they pass and they pass. And we understand what it is to look forward to, a certain date like New Year's, to start a new goal, even right. People sometimes might say, it could be a Wednesday and they're like, oh, I'm going to start next week. You know what I mean?
Right.
Listen, if you're starting anywhere, great. You're starting somewhere. That's awesome. Right.
Yeah.
But I think our philosophy and our mindset is, if you want to start something, start right now. You can do it right now. You know what I mean? You want to start eating healthier, then the next thing you eat, make sure it's healthy. You want to start sleeping better? Okay, well, tonight, go to bed at a reasonable time. You want to start working out? Okay, well, go for a walk today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Join a gym, research where you want to go, what you want to do, if you want to take certain classes, whatever, so you gotta, have the mentality of start now.
Right.
And you know what? If now is actually what it is right now is January 1st, then great. Let's get after it. But, we just want everyone to feel like, you don't have to wait for a date or a time. It could be just the very next moment is when you're starting.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing, man, is, we tend to think about, okay, you know what? I'll just do tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes next week. Yeah. The next week becomes a month, a year, 2 years. All of a sudden, that change that you wanted to make, it's just too long now, and what we've seen, or what I've seen with New Year's resolutions, is typically it's New Year's resolution. So it's only one normally. Biggest one we see is people joining the gym, come January. And it's not for the long haul. It seems very temporary. And this is where I'm going to use the M word, motivated. They're motivated because it's new year. You hear new year, new you. And don't get me wrong, that is huge. That's awesome. If you're approaching a new year with that mindset. However, that motivation will dip. It will subside. You have to have that discipline. So what John and I are saying is, don't wait. Don't let it be, a new year, and this is where John and I actually treat, say January 1st almost every day because of how we structure our days. So what would you say, John, that has been, the biggest difference in your life since structuring your day?
Well, it's given me a way to balance my time a lot better. It's taken away a lot of stresses that I may have had in my life. It's done a lot for me as far as everything is predetermined in a way, and it may sound boring when you say it, but it actually really helps you be productive. And at the end of the day, especially, you feel so accomplished at the end of your day. Just because of the way you planned it out, right, man? Like, and there's different ways everyone does it, right? I mean, for the people we follow, there's different methods and stuff like that. And you and I use different methods, and exactly how to structure our days. And we've touched on a few of them. And I think mine specifically, you have a really cool one that I want to ask you a few questions about in a minute here, but, it's just a way that, you can take everything in your day, and it's by day. Personally for me, it's by day, right? It's like, you can't plan a week or a month. Obviously, there's big goals, obviously, but for your day, if you can wake up in the morning and just, okay, I have these tasks I need to accomplish today, and I have maybe a few other miscellaneous things, and it could be something simple like you've got to get groceries, you've got to get gas, you want to work out. I put workout, meditate. I put water. I put very basic things on my day to day too. Things that I know I'm going to do, but they're on there. But then there are things like study or things that you and I are working on and stuff like that. So, but once you do that every single day and you do it for 30, 60 days, it just becomes normal and you feel like you need it. And that's where I'm at now, man. And are you kind of at that point now too, man, where you actually need it in your weekly routine?
Oh, without a doubt. And you said something interesting that I just kind of wanted to elaborate on. What I've heard in the past, especially with Brendon Burchard, he talks about having like a 30-day, something for 30 days mapped out, or, a couple months.
Yeah.
And I found more success in just taking it day by day. Now, don't get me wrong. We have some long future goals that we're working towards. But I find that me focusing one day at a time, but being very specific with it, especially, with certain areas that I'll elaborate on more, like with our side hustle and work, I'm able to be more productive, right? So it puts me almost like on a path. So when I structure my day, I'm not overwhelmed, I'm not stressed, and it's great because my full-time job is in healthcare, and I'll have a lot of projects thrown at me. I'll have all this stuff, but I'm able to digest that and then prioritize it, so that I won't get overwhelmed, so that I won't be like, oh my God, how am I supposed to get this done? And it's like, no, take a step back.
Right. You
have these other things first, and then we'll get to the new project, And I think a lot of times what happens is, we feel overwhelmed because we may have a couple tasks on our plate for that day or maybe for that week. But if you just take a step back, maybe write it down or put it in your phone and then say, okay, I'm going to do this first, it takes away that whole entire sense of feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I echo the same sentiments too. You do feel accomplished, because you see how productive you are. The other thing too, man, is I feel so like positive.
Yes.
Because you see how much you get accomplished, and you're like, damn, you have a little pep in your step because you're like, damn, I had a good day. You know what I mean?
It's amazing, man. Because I've said this to you, man, and when I said it, I kind of liked it like as like a slogan almost, right? So like, I was a shitty sleeper, was bad. Like I was up late. You know what I mean? Obviously, I have little kids, so like oftentimes I'm up in the middle of the night with them, and then obviously you're up earlier and stuff like that too. So I was getting really poor sleep. And when I started doing this, I found that I was actually tired at night. When before I was kind of just like staying awake and like, watching TV or, whatever on my phone, whatever it was. But then it's like, man, like now it's 9:00 and I'm like, God damn, I'm ready for bed. And the little slogan that I like said to you one time when I was talking to you about it, man, I was like, man, I feel like I earned my sleep now. Like, I feel like I earn it. And it was like, it's like a sense of pride for me to say that because I was so bad at that one thing before, which is sleep, which sounds simple, but it is very important. And now it's like, man, I feel like I've earned it every day because I'm checking those things off. And even if there's days I don't check everything off, I can still step back and look at the big picture and go, man, I got a lot of shit done today, though. You know, so that's one of my favorite parts about structuring our lives is that feeling of accomplishment and that like I could get into bed feeling accomplished tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so this is gonna maybe piss off some sports fans here, but you and I both said the same thing, man. Since we've structured our days and are very deliberate with our time, I'll say, we've put sports on the back burner.
Yeah.
You know, you and I are huge sports fans. Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about the Packers and the Giants. Yep. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I've probably seen 2 Packers games all season. I follow them.
Yeah.
But it's just that these other things in my life that I'm chasing, I'm getting there, you know, it's more fulfilling. It's when I see a score, you know, and the Packers have had a kind of a tumultuous season, so whatever. It's kind of like, hey, you know, that's cool that they won, but this is more important to me. Do you find that too, like that sports has taken a back seat?
Yeah. So like, it's funny because like people will ask, like, you know, in conversations and stuff, or you'll hear the words like, "Oh, I'm so passionate about my sports teams and all that," right? And like, listen, like I'll watch. I mean, still to this day, I'll still watch every Giants game, and I'll still watch every Yankees game. But whereas before, I was sitting there, you know, leaning forward, paying only attention to the game. Now it's okay. Let me edit this podcast. Let me get on socials and try to, you know, promote some of our stuff. Let me, you know, work on different projects for what we're working on with the, you know, model mindset, fitness and coaching stuff. Like there's there's productive time into that, you know? So, and when the Yankees lose or the Giants lose, or whatever it is, it's just like, all right, you know, like that fire that I would have had before.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's just, now it's just, it all resides in like what I'm doing. I know what's really important to me. You know what I mean? So like,
that's crazy.
That's
man.
what it all kind of goes to now. That fire that I would be all pissed off about is kind of like, I'm just investing that in my productive shit. You know what I mean?
That's a huge word you said there too. You're investing your time. It's almost like you're seeing where your passion or where you care more now. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I mean, it's cool that we care about certain sports teams and stuff, but we're now seeing that it's tied with purpose and fulfillment.
Yep.
We're chasing something that hopefully will also make our families proud. Mm-hmm. And we're also helping people along the way as well. Right. So it's like our mission is bigger now. It's way bigger than sports. And sorry, you were going to say something?
No, yeah, I was just going to say that, you know, and I was going to ask you actually. So, and I read this recently, and I want to see kind of what you think about this. So we generally structure our days in the morning.
Right.
And I saw something the other day that was said a lot of people have been actually doing what we do, but doing it before they go to bed. And that way they're able to sleep with clarity. Because a lot of times people go to sleep at night thinking of the to-do list they have to do the next morning or the next day. And it impacts their sleep. And instead they, you know, make those lists at night before they go to bed so they have some clarity and understanding of what their day ahead of them looks like. And I thought that was super interesting. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that's pretty unique. I might give that a shot, you know? You know, because you're not gonna, you know, have too much change from when you put your head in the pillows and when you wake up. You know what I mean? So you can do that thing that night before. Maybe it will give you clarity.
True.
You know, so that part of it, you know, if you're investing, like the word we're using, your energy into, you know, making your days productive, it's really, really game changing for your life. It truly is, man. So
without a doubt.
What's the way you use now? Because you started using a new method now.
Yes.
I think it's awesome because, and I said this the other day, and I didn't want to insult you when I said it, but I said it's simple. And that's why I really like it. And I think 100%. Everyone who has interest in maybe trying to find some way to structure their day, listen closely here to what BG does, because this is super simple and easy to comprehend the way he handles it, but it covers everything you want to have covered. So let people know, man, what are you doing every morning now?
Yeah. So I got this from How to Make Shit Happen by Sean Whalen. Great book. simple read, very short book. I highly recommend that book. And so in that book, he talks about how it's called the Core Four, and the Core Four changed his life. And the reason why it's called the Core Four is because it's broken down into power, which is body. You got passion, which is relationships. Then purpose, which is mind and spirit. And then production, which is basically business. So like your career. And so I do it basically break it down by quadrants. So I have power, which is body. So I'll do, whatever I'm going to exercise that day, sauna, and walk. For passion, it's relationships. So I'll text my wife a sweet message. I'll make sure I tell my boys I love them and give them a hug every single day. And then what I've been doing now is I've been outreaching to friends that I haven't in quite some time. And what this does is it makes you focus on certain areas of your life that you may neglect, right? So you can start off as small and simple in these areas, and then maybe start to challenge yourself. And so like what I really like is with the purpose, the mind, the spirit. How do plants grow, man? You got to water those bitches. So just like your mind, right? So with purpose, dude, I always have a podcast. I'm also listening to an Audible book, and then I'm reading another book, right? So everything that I'm taking in, I'm growing my mind. And you and I both know that you got to continue to learn. And we do that very good as we continue to intake a lot of positive podcasts, but we constantly learn. And so and again, it's something simple, like a 30-minute podcast, you check it off because you watered your brain. Then production, it could be something where maybe you're working on a project for work. Okay. You write that down, with us, record a podcast, anything that's going to further you in your business career or what have you, write it down. But this has given me, it's a very simple structure, but it allows me to make sure that I focus on the important areas of my life and to continue to grow consistently. And it's been huge, man. And I can't recommend it more, man. Yeah. Seriously.
And it's funny because we were talking about it. You were like, oh yeah, well, I just, I wrote my board today that I know I needed to text my friend I haven't talked to in a long time. Just text him. And in my head, I'm like, that's wild. Like, I would never think to do that. I would never think to just I haven't talked to them in a while. Let me shoot them a text and just say, what's going on, man? Hope you had a good holiday. Happy New Year. You good? And, but because that's a section of what you do, that's one of your quadrants there. You took care of that shit. And it sounds so simple, but man, you're checking in with people in your life. It's just there's power in that. There's positive energy in that. And it's that stuff matters. And, I'm really bad at that because I'm very much an introvert when it comes to that kind of stuff. I'm very much kept to myself, and, especially now, maybe I find myself to be a little hyper focused sometimes. And, I got to do a better job at that kind of stuff. So that might be something I have to dabble in and try to figure out how to incorporate in what I do too. So, and I love that though, dude. And what has, changed, do you think, for you since you started using this method now? Have you noticed that it's, better for you, better fit for your days, easier to digest for you? What works better for you with this now?
It's a lot easier to digest because as much as I'm a fan of how Ed Mylett structures his day, as far as the time thing, I felt sometimes that I was more focused on my work. Yeah. Right. So what I had to do for my job, Here, it's not just about, my full-time job. Yeah. It's making sure I take care of my body. Yeah. It's making sure I take care of the relationships, because you and I both know relationships, the valuable ones, are extremely important. And again, you have to make sure that you're constantly, we're both growth-minded individuals. Yep. You have to continue to learn each and every day. Doesn't matter what you're ingesting, but it's got to be something. And so that is what's really given me a more, I would say, laser focused. And that has been helpful. And I'll share this as well. I want to say it was maybe Wednesday or so, I wrote down under passion for relationships, text my mom, tell her I love her. I texted her and I said, hey, I just want to let you know that I love you. I don't say it probably enough or show it enough, but I want to let you know I really love you.
Mhm.
And so then I saw her after dinner. Me and my wife and my boys stopped over, and she's like, I want to let you know that really was nice to get a text message from you like that.
Yeah.
And so it's something like that, sometimes we kind of just go through the monotony of the day.
Yeah.
But when you kind of write it down, and it holds me accountable, man. When I write something down, I'm going to fucking do it. Like, I'm not just going to let it sit there.
Yeah.
Because then, let me ask you this too.
Yeah, right.
If you happen to not get something done for whatever reason,
Mhm.
do you almost feel like, fuck, I didn't get that done?
I do. Especially when it's like one of the first things I write down.
Yeah.
Like if I know like I really wanted to get it done and it just didn't fall into the day for whatever reason, something came up and you kind of had to adjust on the fly. And, like even like, so for me right now, man, like, so to answer your question, yes, like it just, I feel annoyed by it. Right. But,
it's a good word. I would agree with you on that.
Right. So, but like the last like 2 weeks now, Mallory has been home. She was sick before vacation. And then we have break, obviously, this past week. So she's back to school Tuesday. And but so much of my routine and so much of what I organize for my day revolves around most times them being in school.
Right.
And when you pick them up and so it's like, when that's thrown off, my day's thrown off. And, so it's like, I have to readjust that because generally, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think for the most part, both of us, we don't generally structure too much on Saturday and Sunday.
It's very loose on Saturday, none on Sunday. Okay. But yes,
it's tough because we have kids, or if you don't have kids, it's obviously more of a free flowing environment on the weekend.
I would agree with that 100%.
You're not structured, right? So
right,
and that's okay. So and I kind of had to learn that when I first started doing it. I was too worried that I was not having enough control on the weekends, and I was
eating you up a little bit.
I felt very unproductive. Now I understand that. I mean, it's Sunday night, we're getting shit done, right? Like, we find a way to get it in. And so, but like when she's home like that, and when she's sick or like, obviously that throws a wrench into the plans. So
100%.
Stuff will get left behind. You may not have your day structured the way you want every day or 5 days a week like you usually do, and that's okay. But the very moment you can get back on track, just get back on track.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like tomorrow's Monday, but the kids are home. You know what I mean? Like we're off because it's the acknowledged holiday and all that. I'll still structure my day because we have some exciting stuff we're going to get accomplished tomorrow and that we're looking forward to. So, but Tuesday, Mallory is finally back at school after like 2 weeks, and it's like going to be a normal day, a normal morning, a normal afternoon, night. It's going to feel so like nice to have a routine back again. So, 100%. Embrace it. Embrace your routine. Embrace your structure because it's important.
And can you revisit your method of prioritizing your day? Because I think it's important for everyone to kind of hear that again. Yeah. And then and also if anything's changed, because I know, did you like kind of maybe adapt, maybe make some tweaks or anything?
A little bit. So I use the method that Ed Milet came up with, which is you parcel your day out into 3 pretty much separate days, as he describes it. It feels like you have 3 days in one. So you go 6 to 12, 12 to 6, 6 to 12. And you kind of parcel it out. A lot of my days are the same to start. I don't even like have to erase certain things every day. So it's always water. It's always brain exercise. It's always a healthy breakfast. It's always vitamins. Like that's what starts my day, no matter what. Okay. And then there's always working out. There's always meditation. There's generally some kind of form of recovery, and there's always some kind of something involving what we're doing here. Okay, either for the podcast or our fitness and coaching. And then I always have something that I write down what I'm thankful for, and then I'll write down content. And when I write down content, it's information I want to take in. New information. Like you said before, earlier on, the more new information you can take in regularly, replace the 30 minutes of music you're listening to with a 30-minute podcast of ways you can become more productive, or different ways your mind or your body works that you find interesting. It's incredibly helpful. So every day I put the content that I want to listen to. And it could be an audiobook, it could be a podcast, it could be an interview on YouTube, it could be anything, but I want to take something in. I personally spend a lot of time driving for work. I'm on the road at least 3 hours a day. So I have a lot of opportunity to take in new information, and I was wasting it by listening to music or sports shows, and I'll still listen to those things too. But I always make sure I have at least a couple of hours of new information that come into my brain every day, because I find that to be necessary at this point. So yeah, that's how I break up my day, and I can just strictly organize it by those 6 hour increments. And some sections are smaller than others some days, and some days they're all big, and whatever it may be. But it's a way for me, like I said, to get into bed at night and feel like I earned my sleep, man. That list, that way I do that now, man, it makes me feel so good at night. I feel so good. Yeah.
And I love it. And honestly, too, it's good for us to share two different methods of structure, but we're still able to get the most out of our days. Yeah. And again, you're going to have those days where there's going to be, sick kids or something get thrown into your day and just blow it all up. But let's be real. You have days where you just absolutely crush it and you feel amazing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It does.
So,
and what it does for you really is like, you'll understand too, once you have that mode you get into where you want to structure your day and you want to organize it a little bit better, you're going to realize how much time you waste.
Yeah.
And you're going to realize how much opportunity and production you could have to fill that time. It's really interesting to evaluate yourself that way. You know what I mean? It's and you have to be real with yourself too. You got to realize that, man, I was kind of being an unproductive pile of shit here for quite some time. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, dude, same here, man.
So it's like you got to look at yourself in the mirror and accept that. And that's where the growth comes in. We talk about growth mindset. Self-evaluation is part of that growth mindset.
Yeah.
And, and now
you got to look yourself in the mirror. Yeah, for sure.
You can structure it the right way, and you can add production to your day. You think differently about yourself, and people will see your production level, and they'll think differently about what you're doing too.
And let me ask you this, because you just touched on something that I thought was very interesting. You said you were being, did you say lazy pile of shit?
Yeah, that's something like that.
Sorry. But if you take, I might have fucked that up, but sorry.
Thanks for not adding a couple of words to it. Yeah.
my bad. But if you take yourself back, do you think at that John back then, would you say you didn't have much time though? Like if you were going to focus on something else, would you be like, I don't have any time to do that?
So busy. I have so much going on. I'm so busy. No.
Yeah, dude. I used to think the same thing. I when we first started this, I kind of was like, oh, when am I going to be able to do it? Again, you just structure. You're very aware with your time.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And what I like too is, it helps because when you want to structure your time and fill your time, and that unproductive time you were having with something new, you fill it with what you're passionate about. It's easy then. It's so easy. Find something that you love to do or love to learn about or whatever. It's something you want to explore. But once you find what you're passionate about, everything we talk about on a weekly basis, it all revolves around that. It all revolves around having some kind of passion. And all these topics we talk about and ways that we're trying to better ourselves, just go to that center goal of what we're trying to be passionate about and grow. So that's the best part of it. That's what makes it exciting to fill that time, and not give the excuse of I'm too busy, because that's totally what it was. I'm so
it's
busy.
Bullshit.
It is such bullshit. You're not. You're not
bullshit.
So busy. You're not.
Yeah.
You have a lot going on. Sure, of course you do, but you're not too busy to have to eliminate a lot of time wasted in your day and add some production to it outside of your 9 to 5, so to speak.
Yeah. I echo those same sentiments.
Yeah.
And so what would you say, if you were going to provide some recommendations to, our listeners, easy steps to take in starting to structure their day?
So like I said, I have some pretty simple stuff on my, and I feel that I'm certainly not advanced by any means. I've been doing this for maybe 3 or 4 months now. I'm not.
Yeah. Hey man, we're just talking about what works for us.
Exactly right. So I'm not no professional spewing some shit here. I'm telling you what works for me, and I like having the basics on there. And it's funny because, like, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I put water on there every day. I have to start my day with water, and it's a consistent flow throughout my day because it contributes to my recovery, the way we work out, how we feel the next day, what we can handle the next day. So water is very important. So I would suggest to everybody, because it's good for you, and not everyone does it, put water on your list. If you have a list, if you want to make a list, or even if you in your mind you want to start it, start with water. You know what I mean? Make sure you're consuming at least more water than you are now, because I'm sure everybody doesn't consume a lot of water here, but if you can consistently drink water throughout your day, there's a great start. If you're deficient in some vitamins and stuff, add vitamins to your daily routine. If you want, like I said, you want to start exercising, go for walks. Like, start the little things that are easy. We're not asking you to take up a project and make that part of your routine right away, because it's hard. You have to work to that. But take care. Start by focusing on taking care of yourself at the beginning, because a lot of people don't. We don't take care of ourselves, and we don't realize we're not taking care of ourselves. So prioritize that in the part you're structuring your day. Water, vitamins, exercise, sleep. Like, take care of yourself in the ways that you never thought that you had to write down before, because, of course I take care of myself. That's where I would start. Start basic. And I think for beginners, what you described earlier with your 4 topics and the way you get it all set up, that's the way to go if you actually want to write it down and structure it to start right away. I think it's the best way, personally. I don't know how you feel about it, man. That's kind of what I feel.
It is funny because I'm a big advocate for the core 4. Again, I'll repeat it. It's power, which is your body, passion, relationships, purpose, your mind, spirit, and then production in your business. But that gives you already kind of like a map. And then, like you were saying, I don't need to regurgitate it, but make it as simple as possible to start off with, right? So if it's, going for a walk for 20 minutes, if it's, having a conversation with a sibling that maybe you haven't talked to in quite some time. Listening to a podcast. I mean, John, you said it, and you and I talked about this before. I changed up at the gym from listening to music to listening to meaningful, valuable podcasts. And I have learned something every single day, every single day. So I encourage people to just try it. Even if you're just going to work, switch music, switch your talk radio for a meaningful podcast that will add value to your life and to maybe to your day. And again, it's start off simple, but I encourage you to start to challenge yourself, because the thing about life is it's definitely going to be challenging. So the more that you start to get out of your comfort zone, again, once you really got a good feel for the core 4, I encourage you to really start stepping outside that box, but again, start off simple so you kind of get in a rhythm. And get those wins.
Yeah, and with the podcast, dude, I quickly want to mention listen, some are long. There's some long podcasts that we listen to, some hour and a half, stuff like that's hard to digest. And we ourselves have been learning about that, because if we feel they're hard to digest or kind of stand that long amount of time, we certainly don't want our podcast being that long. That's how we're trying to dial back when it's you and I and be 30 minutes or so, because that's what we feel that we can digest. So start with those podcasts that are 15, 20, 30 minutes that have focus on some things that you're interested in. Jim Quick puts out weekly podcasts that are like 10 or 15 minutes, and they're awesome. That dude is a genius. And it's so easy to listen to his stuff because it's quick, it's to the point. So like, that's my recommendation for if you want to listen to one podcast to start with him. You know what I mean? He has simple concepts he talks about. He explains them thoroughly. He'll even have guests on, and the episode's only 20 minutes. So, that's somewhere I would start too, because people's attention span aren't going to be as big as they will be when they start having that growth mindset and they can handle more information. So start small in that sense too. I do want to throw that out there.
And this is kind of off topic. I don't mean to be off
Let's
topic,
do
but
it.
I think this is valuable for people. But in the mornings, try to digest something that is positive, to have a positive, to grow that positive mindset. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a podcast called The Daily Motivation by Lewis Howes, where he'll have guests on there with some background music, and it's very powerful messages. Those are normally around 10 minutes. But I listen to this. I just started listening to this every single day, except for the weekend normally. Mm-hmm. But it's called Be the Hero of Your Own Movie. And it's Joe Rogan. I think I sent it to you.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's a minute 24. It's a minute 24 seconds. Mm-hmm. And it's him just basically saying, hey, be the best version of you. Don't live in the past.
Yeah.
Be the best version of you. Keep chasing that dream.
Yep.
So I think it's very important that, especially if we're going to a job we hate, if we're waking up with not a lot of sleep, man, get those earbuds in or just start ingesting something that's super positive, because it'll flip that switch from being very negative to be like, all right, I'm going to crush today.
Right.
So I just wanted to say that in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's also another great podcast. It's called The Model and the Mindset. There's really two good looking guys host it. There's really good messages. There's some good messages in that bitch too. So, all right, guys, we appreciate your time as always. We talked about something that we felt was prevalent for, especially today, obviously, but moving forward, your resolutions are obviously something you're going to be working hard for. We wanted to give you a little bit, maybe some structure and some framework to work with, getting those days set up the right way for you so you can accomplish all those goals you want and more. So thank you guys for jumping in with us. We love having you guys in and listening to all of our stuff. We hope you're enjoying it, and we will catch you guys next week. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.